Alright, how you doing guys? Today I'm going to give you a little overview of Boxy Baseball Under the Hood edition, and I'm playing with limited flip cards. There are three different versions of Boxy Baseball. I think this might be the best of the three though, and it just uses what are basically facts. They're called limited flip cards, and they look like this. We use these just for base runner advance and for fielder information, who fields the ball. So if you don't use the flip cards in the standard version, you use charts, but this eliminates a lot of the charts and it makes the game flow a little bit better. So what I'm going to do today is just give a little overview. We're going to play probably an inning or two, and just a note, I'm just learning the game myself, so it's not really strictly a tutorial because there are things I still don't know and who knows what's going to come up while we play. But I'm just going to roll the camera and kind of tell you guys what I'm doing and give you a general idea of game flow and how the game plays. I have the 1997 Yankees and the 1997 Seattle Mariners. This game's at Yankee Stadium. Both lineups are loaded. Griffey Jr., of course, on Seattle. The game comes with these ballpark cards. I can't really show you in a great way these cards because of the way I have the camera set up, but they each come with a stadium card, and they have a nice picture of the stadium. And the most important part of the card are these home run ratings. These are used on deep fly checks to see if someone hits a home run or not. Minus numbers are good for the pitcher. Positive numbers are good for the hitter. Surprisingly, at Yankee Stadium here in this 97 card, it's a pretty neutral park, even favors pitchers a little bit, which is a little surprising, especially in right field. There are other seasons where that's not the case. I forgot what other season I was looking at, but there was a stadium card that had a pretty good plus on the right. I think it was 1969 where Yankee Stadium was like a +5. So for this year, it's a -1 in right field. There's also some optional ballpark effects. These are used for range plays. Certain range plays, you could use these optional ballpark effects instead of the fielder's rating. I'm not going to do that today, but it's not hard to do, and I will eventually be using that. But right now, I'm just learning the game, so I'm trying to keep things pretty basic. There's some other ballpark data. If you want, there's a way to figure out distance on home runs, but it's totally optional. And they have this other thing called ballpark peculiarities. For example, at Yankee Stadium, they just mentioned that there's a lot of foul range behind home plate, so you get a lot of catcher foul outs. So that's the stadium card. And like I say, left field in today's game will be 0, center field will be -2, right field will be -1. And like I say, minuses help the pitcher. I did roll for weather. You can roll for weather in this game, a lot like in Dynasty League Baseball. Came up 64-degree temperature. I set this game for a June day game. Came up kind of cool at 64 degrees. That helps the pitchers a little bit. They get +2 for their stamina, and I'll go into that a little bit later. But the wind was negligible, so it's blowing right to left, but it's not going to affect anything. It is possible if you have high winds, especially if they're blowing out or in, that they will affect these home run ratings. They could go up or down, but that's not the case in this game. The wind will be neutral, so we'll leave the home run ratings as they are for left, center, and right. Right now I have the Yankees are home for this game, so David Cohn is going to be pitching against Randy Johnson. And you're looking at Joey Cora's card. He's leading off of Seattle. And I'm not going to go like in depth on everything on the card, but basically I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot. They have his fielding rating here. He's an F4. The best is 1. The worst is 4. They have an error rating. 20 is best, and I think it goes down to 0. He's a 15, which is pretty good. They have a DP rating here, which is 1. There's 3 DP ratings. They're basically pivot ratings. Like an inside pitch, you got pivot ratings. These are pivot ratings. There's 3 ratings. There's -1, 0, and 1. 1 is the worst. That means that if a pivot rating is asked for, he will not turn the double play. 0, you have to roll the dice to see if a double play happens. And a -1 means he will make the double play. So -1 is the best. You don't always use the pivot ratings, though. It's only when it's asked for on the flip cards. Sometimes on the flip cards, this one doesn't have it, but sometimes on the flip cards they'll have a little P, and I'll explain the flip cards a little bit more later. So all cards are lefty versus split for lefties and righties. So this is versus lefty pitchers, this is versus righty pitchers, and the cards themselves, the matrix is versus lefties on one side and versus righties on the other. It's 11 to 66 2d6 roll. And then they have some hit numbers, they have some stats. The one we were mostly interested in is on this side, on the right side, this hit UTH number, and I'll show how that works while we play. But that number is the number we mainly use. We also might use the bunt rating, which is, in his case, VG is very good. They have a hit and run rating. We don't really use these hit and SP ratings. These are for the easy play option. But the SP can actually help you a little bit because it tells you a little bit about whether they're clutch or not. And 0 is kind of neutral. So if you're in the minus, you're not clutch. If you're in the plus, you are clutch. But that'll also show up, and I'll show you how later on the hit UTH numbers. There's a special number in parentheses that for guys that are not clutch. So I'll show you how that works. And yeah, that's the main part of the ballpark card. And you see the reds are potential hits. The blues are either outs, potential outs, or walks or strikeouts. I'll show you David Cohn's card a little bit here. This is the pitcher card. And he has an error rating as well. And he has an early and late rating. If you'll see his early C, late E. That is the earliest for the first inning, and the latest for the 7th inning and later. And that's just for the starting pitcher, not for relievers. So that could come into play, and if it does, I'll show you how. He has a wild pitch rating, a pickoff balk rating, which is fair. They give you just word ratings for certain things. He has a hit by pitch rating. The SBF and the SBR, which you can also see on Cora's card right here. These the SBF is for a jump for stealing, and SBR is for actually stealing. So generally you want to be over in the positives, or either 0 or higher. Negative numbers are generally not good for the base runner, and they're good for the pitcher. Now here Cohn is a 1, so he's in the positive side, which is not good. It means he doesn't hold runners on as well. And then you see on the bottom of the, also they have versus lefties and righties, that's their home run rates. So he gives up home runs at a -1 clip to left-hand batters and -4 to right-hand batters. Negative numbers are good for the pitcher, so that means Cohn did not give up a lot of home runs. Lefties did do a little bit better, obviously, against him than righties, which makes sense since he's a right-hand pitcher. And then they have these hit ratings, these walk ratings, and these K ratings. And I'll show you how that works as we play, but basically it gives the pitcher a chance to block hits, block walks, and get strikeouts. And you see in Cohn's case, the K rating is completely blank, which means that if a K comes up on a batter's card, it's going to be a strikeout. For other pitchers that don't get as many strikeouts, there might be an out there instead of a K. Let me see if I can find one real quick. Like here's Jeff Nelson, you see on his 1 and 2 on his K ratings down here. Instead of a strikeout, he would actually have a hard ground ball instead, so they would put it in play. So pitchers who don't get a lot of strikeouts will have that matrix filled out a lot more than Cohn does. But since Cohn gets a lot of strikeouts, his is blank. So is Randy Johnson's. I'll show you Randy Johnson's real quick. So Randy Johnson, if there's a K that comes up, he's going to get the strikeout because he strikes out a lot of hitters. So that's kind of just a general idea of what's on the cards. As we play, I'll kind of explain it. As far as dice, the most important dice we roll are white and black. They're red replay style, white first, black second, so this would be a 46, and then you would just find 46 on his card. That's how you find the initial play result. In Boxy Baseball, we start on the batter card, then we go to the pitcher card. But the pitcher has a lot of say in terms of being able to block hits, so it actually is a pretty interesting pitcher-batter interaction. So yeah, these are red replay style, and this is what we use to get the first result off the matrix. So they're dice we use all the time. We also roll this big red dice. It's really just a D10, but they make it big because they put this E next to the 0, and this is a reminder that if this comes up, we have to do an error check. As long as the ball is put in play. Obviously on strikeouts and walks and things like that we don't have to, but this is just a reminder that it's an error check, so we get this big D10. If you use a regular D10, you just have to remember that a 0 is an error check, but this is just so it's an easy reminder. When you see it, you know it's an error check. And then we also roll a green D10, and this is used in conjunction with the red, and these are also red replay style. And I'll show you how we use those. But so for example, if you get this is a 10. Even with the E, this is a 10, but it's also a possible error check. So, you know, if you get like a 78, this is a 78. So we read these replay style as well, and they come into play in different ways during the game. And then there's a special die called a pitcher's die, and it's a D10, but it has different letters and numbers on it, and I'll show you how each of these are used as we play. But they have an A, a B, they have an R, which is a range play possibility, and then they have some positive and negative numbers, which we use on the pitcher's card, and I'll show you how when that comes up. So that's the general overview. Like I said, I'm just learning the game, and obviously there are a bunch of charts. I'm not going to show the charts right now because I don't want to move the camera around and make everyone sick. But there are a bunch of charts. If you're interested in seeing the charts, Dave Jackson does some great tutorial videos, and he's really the guy to go to if you want tutorial videos. And he does a video where he shows all the charts off. So if you want to get a look at the charts, visit Dave Jackson's channel, and you can see the charts, and you can also get some tutorials on all the different things that can happen in the game. Like I said, he's much better if you're looking for a tutorial. I just want to show some gameplay because there's virtually no gameplay of this game on the internet. There's just a couple of videos. There's some good videos on the easy play version. There's a couple of videos on UTH, but they're not really cards and dice. They're more playing off the computer and PDFs. So I just wanted to give a little introduction here, and then as I get more familiar, I'll put more videos up of gameplay. But yeah, so I'm not going to show the charts, but there is a trifold of charts. Since I'm playing the limited flip card edition, there's less charts. If you play the standard edition, there's more charts. Again, for the flip cards, we're going to use these for outs and for hits just to get location, and also for base runner advance. And the base runner advance is kind of a shorthand that you just have to kind of learn, and it's not too hard. You just have to work with it a little bit, and you figure it out. You see the top line, HG, RG, SG, that's hard grounder, regular grounder, soft grounder. Then you got long fly, normal fly, soft fly, pop-ups and lineouts. You got foul pops, you got the deep flies. And then you got the hits on the bottom, singles, doubles, and triples. And there's also some base runner advance for hits down here. This is for single base runner advance, whether it's runner on first or if there are runners in scoring position. So every time we need one, we'll just pull one of these and get the information off of it. And that's mostly what you need to know right now. So let's just roll an inning. I don't want this to be too long, so we'll probably just roll an inning and see what comes up. And again, I'm just learning, so there's a chance something comes up where I might have to stop and look at a rule book or something. But I'm going to roll the dice, and we get a 53 to start. So we got the 53. So we look on Joey Cora's card, and we find 53. Now again, this is lefty and righty, so Cone is a righty. So 53, we got to look on the righty, and it's just BB. And if it's just a BB like this with nothing after it, like you see some of these BBs have numbers after them, like BB -1, but this is just a straight BB. This is almost always a walk. The only time it's not a walk is if the pitcher on this very top of his walk rating would have an EWR for extreme walk rating. Then there's a chance it wouldn't be a walk, but David Cone doesn't have that. So whenever it's just a BB like this, it's just a walk. So Joey Cora walks to lead off the game. I'm not going to do steals right now. He's a -1, so I probably wouldn't go with him anyway. You combine this -1 with David Cone's SBF, and David Cone's SBF is 1, so -1 would be a 0. So he would have a small chance. You would go to the chart, and there's a jump chart, and you would see what his jump chance was on a 0, and it's 11 to 23 to get a jump, so not great. But I'm not going to steal right now, but in another video later on I'll show stealing. Again, Dave Jackson has a good video on the stolen base mechanic. So that's all you have to do there. The other dice doesn't even matter because it was a walk, so you wouldn't check for any kind of error or range play anyway. So those are the only two dice I had to look for on that at-bat. This is just a straight walk. So that's going to bring up Griffey with a runner on first and nobody out. So now we'll roll on Griffey, and we get a 41. And on a 41... we're going to look on his 41 against a right-hand pitcher, and now this is walk -1. So you say, well, now what's this -1? Now this is where pitchers get a chance to influence the at-bat. So we look on David Cone's card, and we look under his walk column, -1, and again, it's versus lefties and righties. Griffey is obviously a lefty. So, and they tell you up here whether they're lefty or righty. So Griffey bats lefty, Cone throws righty. And we look at the -1, which is what the reading was, walk -1. We look at Cone's -1 for a lefty, and it's blank. If it's blank, that means that the batter's, whatever's on the batter's card stands. If it had some sort of information like this, regular ground ball or K, then that would be the play. But because it's blank, that just means that Griffey as well has walked. So first two batters against Cone walk, and it's first and second, nobody out. Would have been interesting because on this play I actually rolled a 0E, which could have been an error check. And I also rolled an R on the pitcher's card, which could have been a range play. But because we didn't get to either one of those dice, it's just a walk. We don't have to worry about either one of them. In this game, it is possible to get a range and an error check on the same play, although I found out that through practice and some discussion board stuff, I'm leaning towards just doing a range play if they both come up. It is possible to do both, but I think the easiest thing to do when they both come up is just to do a range play. And that's kind of the way I'm leaning on a little bit of a home rule for there, is just do a range check if they both come up. But it is possible to do both on the same play. So first and second, nobody out, and A-Rod is up with Seattle here against the Yankees. Of course, he'll play for the Yankees later. And with first and second, nobody out, Cone's in a little trouble, and we get a 51. So we look 51 on A-Rod, and a 51 against the righty is a DFO1. So here we go. This is a deep fly. This is a possible home run. A DFO is a possible home run. We're going to pull a flip card. It's a DFO1. So we're going to look at the deep fly 1, and that's going to tell you where it's hit, right field. The rest of this is for base running, but we don't have to worry about that right now. Right now, all we're worried about is where did the deep fly go. So the deep fly 1 here goes to right field. So now what we have to do, if you remember the ballpark for right field at Yankee Stadium is a -1. So we start there. We got a -1. We have to look at Cone. Obviously, A-Rod's a right-hand batter. And Cone is -4 against righties. So we add those two numbers together, -4 and -1. We get a -5. And now on the trifold charts, there is something called a deep fly check. And this is how you check for home runs. And you take that -5 and you look on the deep fly check. And under -5, they give you a home run number. And for -5, it's a 7R. And I'll tell you what the R is in a second, but it's 7R. Basically what that means is a 7 R, if it comes out, if there's a 7 on the red die, and we check the red die for this, if there's a 7 on the red die, because it says 7R, we have to re-roll, and then there's a chart that we re-roll on to see if it's a home run. I don't know if I can get that on here. Yeah, you see that right there is that re-roll. If you get the R, you re-roll, and then 0 to 4 is a deep fly, and 5 to 9 is a home run. So that's only if you roll exactly a 7, because it says 7R. If you get an 8 or a 9, it's a home run. And if you get under 7, it's a flyout. So for a 7R result, which was the -5, a 7 is a reroll, an 8 or a 9 would be a home run, and under a 7 is a flyout. Remember now, minus numbers are good for the pitcher. So the highest you can give is -10 is a no home run for sure, and a +10 is a home run for sure. So it goes between -10 and +10. The closer you are to -10, the less likely a home run. That's why there's only 2 home run numbers for a -5. And I'm going to show you now the red die was a 1. So because the home run number was a 7R, 1 is under the 7R and it is not a home run. You needed to get at least an 8 or a 9 for a homer and 7 for a reroll for a chance at a homer. So that just becomes a deep fly to right field. And A-Rod is the first out. Now we go back to the card. And on the deep fly 1, it says 3-2 and then 1 MA. What that means, if there was a runner on third, he would score on the sac fly. A runner on second on this deep fly automatically goes to third. So Cora is going to tag up and go to third on the fly. And then it says 1 MA, and that means that the 1 has a manager's choice to move. But in here, I'm going to just leave Griffey on first. I'm not going to try and tag up from first. So we're going to do first and third, 1 out. A-Rod almost hits it out, but he hits just a deep fly to right. And now Edgar Martinez is up. And I'm going to roll for Edgar. First and third, 1 out. The infield's going to play back in the first inning all the way around. They're just going to try and turn 2. They're not going to try and get Cora at the plate. So we play infield back with Edgar up. First and third, 1 out. And we get a 45. And we also we also got another 0, so it could possible error check. We had a 0 on the red die. But let's see what a 45 is, and then we'll worry about the error possibility. A 45 against a righty is a K -3. So now we got to go to Cohn's card. And remember, Cohn, everything is blank on his K section. So a K -3 against Edgar's a righty. K -3 is blank. That means that the K stands, there's no change, and it's a strikeout, a big strikeout for Cohn. So after walking the first two, he gets A-Rod on a deep fly out, and now he strikes out Edgar Martinez, and there are 2 out, first and third. We don't have to worry about the error check, because on a strikeout, obviously, there is no error. So now we have 2 out, first and second, for Paul Sorrento. So Cohn trying to work his way out of this first and second nobody out jam. And we get a 64 on the red. 64 on the red. 64 on the white and black, sorry. So now we go to a 64. And now here we go. Here's going to be interesting, because against a righty on a 64, it says SN3. Now this stands for single 3, but it's not a single yet. It's a possible single. So now what we have to do is we have to go up against a right-hand pitcher. We have to look at these hit UTH numbers. And here, in this case, Sorrento has 2 numbers. He has a number outside the parentheses, and he has a number inside the parentheses. The number on the inside parentheses takes precedence when there are runners in scoring position. And in this case, there is a runner on third base. So there is a runner in scoring position. So the first number we're going to look at is the 78. And what this 78 is in parentheses, this is an auto out number. What this number is telling you is that Paul Sorrento was not clutch in this season, 1997. You can also see that from his SP number being -3. If the SP numbers are negative, then that means he was not clutch for that year. If they're positive, he was clutch. 0 is kind of neutral. So now that we have this 78 is his auto out number. He'll make an out if he gets this 78. The way we check that is we look at the green and the red, and again, remember I said we can read these replay style as well. So here we read this 22 as this 2 and 2 as a 22 replay style. And this is the number we use to compare it to the 78. It has to be 78 or higher to be an auto out. So obviously 22 is lower, so it's not an auto out. Now we have to look at his 70 number. His 70 number is an auto hit number. If he gets between 70 and 78, so 70 to 77, he would have an auto hit, and this SN3 would stand as an auto hit. The pitcher wouldn't even have a say. But again, we rolled the 22, right? We had the 22. I just lost the 2, but it's there. There it is. We rolled the 22. That's under the 70. So now we know that he's not going to make an auto out with runner in scoring position, and he's not going to get an auto hit because the 22 is too low. So now what we do is we have to go to the pitcher's card, because the pitcher has hit ratings. He gets a chance to block it. So then you say, well, what do we use? And that's where the pitcher die comes in. And we roll the 1 on the pitcher's die. This is the number you use on the batter card for the hit rating. And you do it versus the side the player hit on. If Sorrento is left-handed. So we look on Cohn's card, and his hit rating for the 1 for a left-handed batter is NF3. So what that means is David Cohn blocked the hit of Paul Sorrento. This SN3 will not be a hit because he didn't get the auto hit with his 70 number. Sorry, I made that a little blurry with my hand. And the pitcher with the 1 blocks the hit with an NF3 against the left-hand hitter. What is an NF3? It's a normal fly 3. So we just pull a card, and we look on the card, and we go to the fly ball line, and normal fly is in the middle. And since it was a normal fly 3, we go to the third column, and it's a fly to left field. And since it's the third out, we don't have to worry about base running. He just flies to left. And Cohn, after walking the first 2, blocks that hit and gets out of the inning. So if Cohn doesn't have anything here in 1, if it's blank, that would have been a single and a run scored for Seattle. So that's how pitchers have a lot of say in what happens, and that's the pitcher-batter interaction in Boxy baseball, and that's a good example of it. David Cohn, being a good pitcher, was able to block Sorrento's hit, and that was it. He was out. Now also Sorrento, since he wasn't a clutch hitter, if I had rolled a high number here, like an 82, Sorrento was a 78 for his auto out number in clutch situations, so an 82 would have been over 78, and he would have made an auto out that way as well, because he's not clutch. So there were a couple of ways Cohn could have gotten out of it, and he did. So Seattle doesn't score, and we'll just play the bottom of the first. This has been a long video. but I think you're getting a pretty good view of how the game works. Wade Boggs is going to lead off for the Yankees. Randy Johnson's going to be on the mound. And you can see here his K rating, again, is also blank, so he's going to get a lot of strikeouts. He also blocks a lot of hits for his right-hand batters. You see it's full, so he's going to block a lot of hits with right-hand batters. And that's not surprising because he had a 2.2 ERA. I didn't go into fatigue or anything, but there is a fatigue system. I'll do that in the next video. I don't want this to be too long. So let's just get the Yankees up in this bottom of the first, see what comes up. We got Wade Boggs leading off against Randy Johnson, and we roll a 12. 1-2. We rolled a 12. And we have no error check on the red. It was a 7. So we go to 12. Now Randy Johnson is left-handed. So we got to go on the left-handed side, and it says K0. So now we would go, since it has a suffix, it's not just, if it was just a K, it would be a strikeout. Like here, it's just a K, that's just a strikeout, and that's it. It's over. But because this says K0, we have to go to the pitcher's card. But again, remember, we go to K0, but it's blank because he has nothing here. He has no other alternate out, so he gets the strikeout. It's blank. So Randy Johnson strikes out Wade Boggs, and that's the first out of the inning. That was a nice easy peasy at bat. Now I'll bring up Derek Jeter. See what Jeter does. Sorry, Jeter's off the camera here. Sorry if I made it blurry occasionally with my hand, but trying to keep the camera from moving around. So 53 here on Jeter. So I'll use my pen so I don't make it all blurry. 53, again, Johnson's left-handed, so we have to look at the left-hand side, and it says walk 1. So now again, because there's a suffix there in parentheses, Randy Johnson has a chance to have a say in what happens on this at-bat. It's not just a straight walk like this one. So on walk 1, we go to Johnson's BB ratings. We go to 1, because it said walk 1 on 53. Walk 1. We go to 1. And Jeter's right-handed, and it says RG2. That means that Jeter just hit a regular grounder, and it's an RG2. So we go to the ground ball line, which is on top. RG2, it's a grounder to first. And the asterisk, I have that written down somewhere. They just differ between a 3-1 and a 3 unassisted. An asterisk means 3-1. He means he threw it to Cone. He threw it to Johnson to get Jeter out. So that's how they differ between a 3-1 and a 3 unassisted. You see, they have sometimes an asterisk. Oh, which one was it? Here. I lost the card, but it was an asterisk. What was it? It was an HG. It's an RG2. So yeah, see the asterisk after the first base. That just means that he threw it to the pitcher instead of taking it unassisted. So that's the second out. Yankees go down 1-2 so far here. Strikeout and a grounder. And now Paul O'Neill will get a shot against Randy Johnson. Roll. And we got a 44. So we roll a 44. Paul O'Neill, 44. And there's a walk 3. So again, because there's that 3, we got to go to Johnson's card. We go down a walk 3, left-hander, O'Neill's lefty, and it says HD3. That's a hard grounder 3. We just turn the flip card, and a hard grounder 3 is a ground ball to third base, and that's going to be the inning. We don't have to worry about base running because there's nobody on. So Yankees go down 1-2-3. And after 1, it's scoreless. So there you go. Did you just give you a little basic idea of how this game works? That was 1 inning of Boxy baseball under the hood with the limited flip cards. And it's a fun game. Plays well. And I played 5 or 6 games so far, and I'm having fun with it. A couple of little tweaks and things like that you can do with home rules and how you want to handle things, like I mentioned before, with the range check and an error check on the same play and things like that. But for the most part, it plays really well, and it's a lot of fun. So I recommend checking it out. And like I said, check out Dave Jackson's videos. He does a great tutorial series. I think he's up to like 20. And you get a really good look at how the game plays. So that's it for now, and I'll come back with some more gameplay video later this week. Thanks for watching.